Our shout-out tonight is an update on the great work done by a New York reporter who helped give voice to some high school students in Louisiana who wanted to know why the predominantly white high school in the same county had so much better facilities than at their school. It got the attention of the federal judge overseeing the district, who had no idea what was going on until he saw the report.
The mold, the carpet, the walls itself, the classrooms, the teachers, everything that you need in the school or could use in the school is not there.
Reporter Dan Lieberman with the online media outlet NowThis went to Catahoula Parish in Louisiana to Block High School, where most of the students are African American.
To see why students are speaking out and what conditions in Deep South schools are like more than 6 decades after desegregation.
We saw a local news piece from rural Louisiana about these kids who were protesting conditions at their high school.
We got teachers that are not certified teaching subjects that they don't even know.
If you're a teacher and you don't know what you're doing, how you expect me to do?
I talked with Lieberman at the NowThis studios in New York. Were the kids afraid to speak out? Were they afraid they might be punished by the school?
They were surprised to see that someone from out of town, out of state, was showing up to really put a spotlight on these issues. They weren't sure it was going to make much of a difference because they really felt like in this parish, in this state, their voices didn't matter and they weren't going to get a change.
What made the story so powerful is what Lieberman then discovered nearby.
But 13 miles away, there's another school in the same school district that looks a lot different. Nearly 90% of the senior class here is white. They perform better academically and enroll in college at a higher rate.
It really did feel wrong. It felt like an injustice. This is one school district. The schools should not look that different. And there have been desegregation orders in place since the 1960s. And for, if you're in 11th and 12th grade, at one school, majority white, other school, majority black. You look at the conditions of the two high schools and you see that the funding doesn't add up.
So we just tried to film inside Harrisonburg High School, but the superintendent won't let our cameras inside. They don't want the principals to talk to us on camera. But there's a clear, notable difference in how the school looks compared to Block High School.
But Lieberman was able to get the superintendent on camera.
When we talk to students and we talk to families at Block High School, they compare it to Harrisonburg. They say Harrisonburg has beautiful facilities. Why do you think they're saying there's such a difference?
Several of the other schools, communities have passed bond issues specifically around facility renovation and refurbishment, and in the recent years Jonesville hasn't passed any such issue to address their schools.
Both high schools are in the same district, and Lieberman says he thinks there's more to it than bond issues after talking to one school board member.
So I asked the school board member, why don't you just consolidate the schools? And she said, the parents at that school, they don't want their kids going to school with those kids because of their moral character.
That's what she said?
Yeah.
Which was what, a code for?
It's a code for racism. It was so obvious. You feel it there, and it was wrong.
Lieberman's report had immediate impact. Federal Judge D. Drell, overseeing the long-delayed desegregation efforts in that school district, saw the NowThis report and ordered a hearing into what's going on. So essentially, he was unaware of this disparity until your report.
That's right.
So he gave you full credit for bringing this to his attention.
Yeah.
Neither the school board nor the Justice Department had done that.
He said that I'm so glad you came down to Louisiana.
Why do you think it took an outsider to go down there and to reveal this?
To me, I really think that it speaks to the broader crisis in journalism, where areas like this, in the Deep South, in rural areas, they're not getting asked tough questions. Reporters are not showing up there asking tough questions.
Since that original report, Dan Lieberman tells us the high school principal and the superintendent are both out of jobs. One resigned, the other retired. And now the federal judge overseeing the long-delayed desegregation efforts has ordered school officials to report back to him every other month about what's being done to correct this glaring black-white discrepancy. Good work, Dan. Well, that's our program for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you back here next week. Good night.